Since tomorrow's Valentine's Day, I thought it would be a good time to talk about hashtag relationship goals, or as I'd like to call it, hashtag relationship goals? I've been noticing a lot of memes out there depicting certain fictional characters, whether it be from literature or movies or comics even, of specific character couples being pegged as relationship goals. And though I get the premise as to why a lot of them do exist, I have a really big problem with about 5 of them. So today I'm going to go through each one and debunk why I feel that none of these people should ever be looked at as relationship goals. Now, these 5 are not in any particular order. There's no best to worst. They're all equally appalling as to what they stand for. So I'm going to start with my first one. It's probably painfully obvious, but I see a lot of it every Valentine's Day, and it makes me bonkers. Romeo and Juliet. Don't get me wrong. I understand the premise of true love and risking it all for love. That's all well and great. But at the end of the day, Juliet stabs herself in the heart when she found out that Romeo would not wake up and could not bring herself to live without him. Where is the relationship goal in that? Especially when you look back and you realize that it was young love. And I get that that might be tragic in the sense of, 2 households keeping these 2 apart. I get all of that. Romeo and Juliet, frankly, was never really my favorite. To me, it's one of Shakespeare's weaker works. But my problem is this romanticizing of that relationship. That in the attempt to show that it was about what can happen when 2 sides don't get along well and the tragic results that can stem from that, people focus on the relationship itself. The relationship was just a message. It was never meant to be a goal, people. As much as I love Love Story by Taylor Swift, and I miss her and I want her to come back, and I love the fact that the 2 kids in it called each other Romeo and Juliet, and it was precious and adorable, this is not cute. It needs to go away. Romeo and Juliet, not relationship goals. Number 2. Bella and Edward from Twilight. Look, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go on a limb and accept that I am not the targeted demographic that Stephenie Meyer was trying to attract. That being said, I have some genuine concerns about young girls and if this was their first exposure to what a relationship really is. Edward is pretty much a jerk to Bella. He strings her along, disappears on her whenever he pleases. The entire relationship is on his terms. And when he feels like he wants her, he can just pick her up and he puts her back down, playing with her over and over, and she falls for it. If this series had ended with Bella walking away and just chalking this up as like maybe her first teenage experience with love, I can back this. But here's the thing. She marries this man. She's married a man who's made himself essentially emotionally unavailable. Then she marries the man, gets pregnant by him, and he has the gall to be angry about it because it's part vampire and it's not possible. But the bottom line is he was well aware of the risk, even though they put in that one line saying it wasn't possible, yada yada yada. He knew. I think it's a very weird message to send to young girls. It's an uncomfortable message, I should say. I hope that they read this and accept that this is fiction, and hopefully they get out of it that they do not want to end up like Bella. Because even if it does end with a beautiful dress and a great party in the end, it may end with you walking down the aisle in a white dress. Your wedding will be beautiful, but it sounds like she's living hell afterwards. And I don't think that should be a goal for any young woman out there. Number 3. I thought about putting this next couple with Edward and Bella, considering that they are literally the same character and E.L. James should get sued for what she did. But we're going to move along to Christian and Anastasia from 50 Shades of Grey. Now, the reason I decided not to put them together, even though Christian and Edward are essentially the same person, is because I think 50 Shades of Grey offends me a whole lot more. Here's why. I was not the targeted demographic for Edward and Bella in Twilight. However, I am an adult woman who was supposed to be intrigued by Christian and Anastasia's relationship. And in that, they brought in tones of sexuality and BDSM. And that's all good and well if you are a mature audience who can inhale that subject matter. However, the BDSM is used as a tool to demean Anastasia, to degrade her, to make her feel like Christian owns her. And just because he buys her a mansion and marries her, that's supposed to be a relationship goal? There is nothing sexy about possession. And here's another thing. Love, and sex for that matter, shouldn't be a horrible and sad experience. I don't get from any of this, and maybe it's the narration being taken out of the films. And that's another thing. I feel like the problems between this relationship were highlighted in the films because the narration was gone. None of it feels comfortable. None of it feels like this is what she truly wants. He uses BDSM as a means to punish Anastasia in the relationship, which is just awful all on its own. But he then uses the reason that he is into this stuff because of an abusive past. The entire thing is insulting to anyone who has a healthy, loving relationship and who has a healthy sexual life. So here's a truth bomb. Sex should never, ever, ever be used as a weapon. I can't even go on anymore about this guy. Next. 4. Danny and Sandy from Grease. Alright guys, full disclaimer here. I love the music from Grease. My family and I have enjoyed many a Grease sing-along. That being said, Danny is a repulsive prick. There's no other way for me to put this. This film goes from him genuinely liking Sandy for who she is, to then him ignoring her in front of his friends and being a complete ass, to then him caving, taking her out to a drive-in, borderline assaulting her, and then as she leaves after the attempted assault, he sings a song about how life is so hard for him? No, and then it gets better. She then decides it's more important for her to change for him. And the only way he can accept her is if she changes for him. And I'm not talking about, hey, she's got, maybe she's not dedicated, maybe she's got no goals, maybe he's trying to motivate her to be the best version of herself. No, she goes to class, she clearly is a law-abiding citizen, but that's not enough. She has to kind of vamp her hair up. She has to, smoke because, lung cancer is cool. And she has to pierce her ears, even though she really wasn't interested in doing that in the first place. None of this is relationship goals. It's not cute. I get it. The songs are amazing and they are very, very, very distracting as to what is really going on between those two. But really, we need to stop. Number 5. This made me want to cry adding this couple on the list. Because to me, this show is probably one of the greatest coming of age shows ever. Maybe because I grew up watching it and I think it grazed on a lot of issues that a lot of shows even now are not brave enough to tackle. But I have to call a spade here. So, Cory and Topanga, Boy Meets World. Now, I'm not talking about Cory and Topanga circa middle and high school. I think that relationship was adorable. I think it was absolutely precious. I love that really I love that the relationship did not emphasize on the physical. I love that they loved each other for who they were. Until the senior year of high school happened, and Topanga got into Yale. Yale. Ivy League Yale. And she made a decision to stay behind because she couldn't bear herself to be without Cory. And Cory accepted it. I'm not saying Cory's a bad guy. I'm not saying Topanga's a bad girl. But this would have been a great time for some parental intervention, although from what I gather, Topanga's parents were going through a divorce. But heck, anyone else, everyone should have pushed her and told her, no, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. If this guy really loves you, he would stick around. Like, that is huge. Who gives up Yale? And instead, when we see her dramatically knock on the door and the rain is pouring and she says, I'm not going to Yale, the audience applauses. It's supposed to be this big, emotional, loving moment. It's not. If you get into an Ivy League college, or if there's another wonderful opportunity for you out there, take it. Because love would wait. If it were meant to be, it will be. It's the corniest phrase ever, but it's the truth. Don't give up Yale for your high school boyfriend. Number 6. This is probably the most obvious one, and it's probably the one that pisses me off the most. Joker and Harley Quinn. Now, look. I love Harley Quinn's design. I love Joker. I remember when Harley Quinn made her debut in Batman the Animated Series. I think that she was a wonderful sidekick to Joker. However, Joker did not treat her like an equal. Joker treated Harley like a literal punchline. Sometimes it would work for laughs, sometimes it would show how tragic the whole thing was because she kept going back to him. I do not see the relationship goals with this. I am getting sick and tired of seeing meme after meme. His crazy matches my crazy, and together we're just crazy together. He never saw her as a partner. And yet, when I finally got to see Harley Quinn on the big screen, and props to Margot Robbie, she did a wonderful job. This is no dig against her. It seemed to me like they were almost eroticizing this emotional abuse. And it concerns me because I do wonder now, are there 12 and 13-year-old girls in there watching this? And what are they thinking? Do they think that this is okay? Do they think that this is normal? Do they think that this is healthy? It needs to stop. And on that note, if I see one more Suicide Squad Harley at Comic-Con, I will probably have a mental breakdown in the middle of the floor. Thank you, Spencers. I'm not judging anyone for liking these characters. Nor am I judging them for enjoying the films at all. I'm a fan of a lot of these. What I'm trying to get at is that we tend to oversimplify love and only tend to look at people on the outside instead of really looking at what's going on. And even when we see the inner workings of their relationship unfold, whether in a book or on screen, the love and the image of what love should be blinds us from what is really going on. And sometimes what really is going on is chaos and dysfunction. Bottom line, love is not demeaning someone. Love is not molding someone into what you want them to be. Love is respect above all else. Nothing about love should entail abuse. Nothing about love should entail control. Nothing of love should involve disrespect. So if you're single this Valentine's Day and maybe you're losing hope, or maybe you feel like it's never going to happen for you, I've been there and I totally understand. But self-love and self-worth should always come first. Watch a movie and instead of looking at it as, hey, I wish I had that, maybe look at it from an angle of, maybe there's something there that I may not be okay with accepting. Because once you know exactly what you want, when that person comes along, you won't need a meme to tell you that they're the one for you. Love to all you guys.